the bottom line of my entire life has been do more than you say.
Exactly.
Always do more than you say. In whatever, you just do more than you say. So I do more than I say. You can't think of Dil Dhadakne Do without Manav.
True.
Without Priyanka's husband, there is no conflict.
Exactly.
Right, you take out Manav and that story falls flat. So in similar respects, I need to see that if you took out Mirza Hakim, what would happen? And there would be very little to hold on to in the initial conflict that the whole series opens with.
So we're shooting the scene, and without giving too much away, for most of the show we've exchanged look like lovers more than father and son.
Okay.
But there was this scene where I was supposed to look at Sir, and it was foreshadowing something that we were about to do next in the plot. And I was missing it. I wasn't there.
Yeah.
And Sir came up to me and he whispered in my ears. He said, "Just look at me, and just know that Daddy knows." And he just simplified it so much for me, and I'm like, I just need to look at Sir and shut my eyes and think, this is my father and Daddy knows. And that's what I did.
Anybody who follows anybody on social media because they're an influencer or whatever the hell that's called, how long will that last?
True.
A day?
I think Ranbir Kapoor is the prime example of a star who's not on social media, and he is a bona fide superstar. I just feel like two things about the whole social media thing. One, I mean, the unfortunate reality now is that you need to put yourself out there to sort of get the roles and stuff, and there are people who've done it wonderfully
at the beginning of
their career,
at your age,
at our age.
Yeah, of course you have to.
See, because we don't have like Sir has a body of work over so many years, and someone like me who's just starting out, I have to put myself out there because that's the only way that people will know that I'm around.
They'll notice you.
And I think to look at it as a vehicle instead of as a mode of being an actor, it's just sort of a plus to everything that you're doing anyway.
When people say you're overexposed, you know what they mean? You're talking more than you're doing.
Hey everyone, this is Aditi and you are watching me on News 18 Shosha. Today I have a bundle of talent joining me ahead of the release of Taj. So Rahul and Harshil, a huge welcome to News 18 and we are so happy to have you with us today.
Thank you.
I love the trailer of Taj. It's spectacular. I want to know from each of you, what were your biggest takeaways from the show?
For me, I think just starting out and being a part of such a big show with this cast and having stalwarts like Nasir Saab and Rahul Sir and Aditi ma'am and Sandhya ma'am and all of these guys, Dharmendra sir, even though I wasn't able to work with him unfortunately, it was just like I was a kid in Disneyland, and for me the biggest takeaway was just learning from these guys, observing them, taking as much as I could from them, and at the same time you're a part of this show where you're wearing 3 layers of costume and you're riding a horse and swinging a sword, and then you need to act at the same point of time. So it was very overwhelming, and I was all over the place. But yeah, seeing these guys and seeing how they held themselves and how they came into their role, and when the camera calls action, how they're all always there, true to the moment. I think that was my biggest takeaway, just watching, observing and learning.
What about you?
I think it was the writing.
Okay.
You can make many series on the Mughal Empire. You can make a series on just one of the emperors. You can have any kind of, and there have been many different angles to the same dynasty made in the last 60, 70 years. So I think this was yet another angle. I've never heard of Mirza Hakim's name ever before in any of the
I don't think so even we have read in history books.
So I was like, who am I playing? They said Mirza Hakim. I said, I'm not doing it. I don't know who this guy is. But then I realized that he was Akbar's stepbrother, and he had a very substantial part to play in the initial parts of, in some aspects, which they chose to highlight. And I found that, then I said, okay, this is interesting. So it's the writing. The takeaway for me is that the lens through which it's been looked at. Who's the writer? Simon?
Simon, yeah.
The lens through which it's been, William, he's the showrunner.
Yeah.
So the lens through which they've looked at a topic that all of us are familiar with, emperors that all of us have seen in some form or fashion in the past. That lens, that was interesting.
So also, if I just might add, the beauty of I mean, two things: the beauty of not having a completely historically relevant character. So as an actor, you're able to humanize it on your own. That's the interesting part,
Wow.
right?
That's a
I
good
feel
way
like,
to look at it.
I feel like you
Yeah.
can add your own.
See how much I
layers.
learned from Harshil?
Nah, see, yeah. But you bring like shades of Rahul Bose into Mirza Hakim. I've seen that in your performance. So we all have our demons, and I think Sir brought all his demons into Mirza Hakim. And secondly, I was just going to say, alluding to the writing, and I mean it's very interesting that a Western crew and a Western writer has written a show that's so culturally relevant to India,
To our
and their
country.
lens is so unbiased compared to Indian writers, because they are just trying to tell you the truth, no matter how
Yeah.
brutal it is, no matter how honest it is, how dark it is. And sorry, I just wanted to say that that's just the beauty of the show and how it all comes along.
This is your time. You never have to say sorry.
So Harshil, this is also your first project in a way, and there's also a lot of responsibility riding on you when you play a larger than life historical character. So what was the kind of creative brief you received, and what was the best part in exploring him?
If I'm being completely honest, yes, it was a large responsibility, but then also being a part of an ensemble cast is almost like being a part of a play. So
Yeah.
a lot of times you realize that there are all these other actors and all these other amazing people that are adding layers to that character. So I thought that for me, I think the brief was very simple. Again, there was not much about my character Afrasiab on the internet.
Yeah.
There was a little bit about Mirza Hakim, but I didn't know too much. So I just looked at him as if he was just this young, naive Mughal prince, this kid who's been thrown into this conflict because of his father and his family feud, and he doesn't know how to fight. He doesn't. He's not necessarily the sharpest sword swinger, horse rider over there, but he has to fight for his family because he doesn't have a choice. And these are the sort of circumstances that these princes and these kings are born into. And I just thought that, okay, me as a South Bombay boy, how am I going to do this? But like I said, it was just humanizing it and making it normal, but at the same time having this extra layer of wool on you and this sword on you to
Yeah, I think that children don't choose their parents.
yeah.
True.
So you're saddled with the people who are your family, and you simply have to do as they say,
Yeah.
especially in those times. I am not so sure that either of my sons would have turned out to do the things that they do if it wasn't for my evil, insecure, violent personality. I am pretty sure that they would have turned out to be better human beings than they do, because innately in them there's not that same jealousy against Akbar. I'm Akbar's
Yeah.
step. So I have a direct insecurity and jealousy, which is a toxic combination. You see a lot of political leaders nowadays who have insecurity, jealousy, as well as violence in them. That
Yeah.
makes them very cruel.
True.
That makes them, it doesn't just make them aggressive, it makes them cruel. So this cruelty in Mirza Hakim, I think his sons are not born with that, but they have to conform to that because of their father. And I won't give the game away, but the terrible consequences
Yeah.
of being such a cruel person
Yeah.
are felt by everybody in the family later on.
Yeah.
So when you're casting someone as Harshil as Afrasiab, I think it's excellent casting, because what really matters on screen is your internal personality.
Yeah.
So internally, if you're a good person and you're playing a bad person, you're watchable.
True.
But if you're a bad person playing a bad person, it's unwatchable.
So are you
Exactly.
saying I'm a good person?
Yes, I do mean that. I do mean that. And he's got an innate, he's not cut out for negative stuff. I mean, he
Yeah.
should be doing the positive stuff. Look at the boy. You know what I mean? So that is very interesting. The eyes are clean, the face is open, and he's his son.
True.
So at one point of time, there is a conflict between him and me about which way to go,
What is right and
what is right
wrong.
and what is wrong. But he can't, so it's, we're saying a lot, only very little is seen. But in that little bit that's seen, it's very clear that bichara phas gaya yahan pe. ये जो उसका बाप है ना वो कमीना है, लेकिन ये लड़का कमीना नहीं है.
The way both of you have described it right now, I'm actually very keen on watching.
Forgetting about Akbar and forgetting about Anarkali.
I want to see the relationship that
yeah,
you both have in the show. So, you know, Rahul, time and again, you have picked up stories which are quite different in terms of their stature or, you know, on the script level. So, what is it that you look for in scripts, and over the years, has your creative process evolved?
I think over the years, my creative process has remained the same. In some areas, my patience has increased, and in some areas, my patience has decreased because I know exactly where to go, and I don't want to waste time. You don't have to say 500 things to me for me to get there. My patience has increased in many ways where I say, okay, this is going to require time. So whenever I get onto a set, no matter how long you call, what time you call me, I'm there. And if you shoot with me, you do. If you don't shoot with me, it's fine. Earlier it was like, when's my next shot? When's my shot? When's my shot? Now I'm there for 12 hours. Use me, don't use me, don't use me. That's fine. I'm happy to be there.
Okay.
You know, I'm not anxious. But in terms of the actual approach into a character, the backstory of the character, what the character's life is outside of what you see.
Yeah.
Does he have a sister? Does he have kids? Does he listen to music? What food does he eat? You know, what are his secret likes and dislikes? All of that I still do like I did for my first film, English August. That process is very much the same. The choice of roles depends on, obviously, if you look at my career, apart from one or two, one really bad film, which was a misstep, which again all of us thought was going to be a great film, but it wasn't. Apart from that one, generally you'll see that, okay, we understand where this guy is going. It has to have some sense to it. Hopefully it should have a social message. There should be some greater good coming out of it. I need to be very important in the making of in the part of the film. Even when I'm not playing the lead role, I should be, you can't think of Dil Dhadakne Do without Manav.
True.
Without Priyanka's husband, there is no conflict.
Exactly.
Right, you take out Manav and that story falls flat. So in similar respects, I need to see that if you took out Mirza Hakim, what would happen? And there would be very little to hold on to in the initial conflict that the whole series opens with. So it's all of that also. Otherwise, I think co-stars, I heard Nasir's name, I heard Sandy's name, Sandhya. At the time, Aditi was cast or she wasn't cast, I don't remember.
In the process, I think.
In the process. I didn't know any of these boys. But I said, okay, this sounds interesting. And the character was very interesting.
Yeah.
The character was very interesting because, as I said, the toxic combination of jealousy, insecurity
and violence.
And an inferiority complex where basically your brother is everything you want to be.
Yeah.
And all you want, if you reduce my character down to one word, all he wants is power. So if tomorrow people say you have to play Ludo and you'll become famous and become powerful, he'll play Ludo. If day after they say you have to kill 18 young babies, he'll kill 18 young babies.
Because
if on the third
power.
day they say you have to wear a blue floral dress, he'll do whatever it takes to get power. That's his thing. He only wants power. He will change his principles, his morals, everything to suit that moment to get that power.
You know, Harshil, a show like Taj will also bring you a lot of visibility and recognition that you deserve. So, you know, and as they say, na, ki every actor when they start out, they do take time to settle in their choices and the kind of things they want from themselves. So moving on, what will be your approach in enhancing your career and the kind of roles that you're keen on picking?
So, I mean, firstly, it's very kind of you to say, but I deserve is far off yet because like I always tell people that I've barely just begun. It's just a warm up into the space. And secondly, I'll take a sort of a similar approach to what Sir has done with his trajectory, in the sense that I would like to pick important characters in a narrative. I mean, I want a character that's going to drive the narrative or push the narrative in a certain direction, and a character that's important to the narrative in some capacity. But having said that, I mean, मैं अभी तो थोड़ा जवान हूँ, मतलब मैं I would like to play the boy next door. I'd like to do slice of life stuff. I'd like to do be in the young adult space.
I think Harshil definitely has leading man attributes, which I never had.
That's very kind.
He's tall, he's good looking, You know, he's got all the attributes to be a leading man.
आप सुन रहे हो please?
So I was very clear that although I played the lead for, right up till I think The Japanese Wife, and even beyond that till about 2009, I was playing the lead, and I was like, why are people making me play the lead? You know, whether it was Pyar Ke Side Effects or Shaurya, these were leading man roles. These are not, we need a short, ugly guy to play this. It was.
You are not ugly.
I'm just saying, this is the leading man.
So you're
this
too
is
modest.
Pyar Ke Side Effects. This is Shaurya. He's playing the strapping officer. It's like, what Tom Cruise played. It was a remake of A Few Good Men. So, but this boy has the attributes that say to you, leading man. So I don't think he should compromise on that. I don't know whether he decides to do the Avatar kind of films tomorrow, or the Mission Impossible kind of films, or he wants to do English August, or Split Wide Open. That's his choice. But whichever way the choice goes, and you've had a lot of people in history who've made difficult choices despite being beautiful looking. Brad Pitt, Johnny Depp, Keanu Reeves. You've had Ryan Gosling. So there are people you would say he can just be Cary Grant all his life.
Yeah.
As Cary Grant only played Cary Grant. But they haven't chosen to do that. So that field is open to him. But I think that if I was, and I am a director, and I am a producer, if I look at him, I'm like, okay, if I have to look at this boy, I have to consider him as somebody who will play the lead or that kind of role. And then if you can act, which he certainly can, which Harshil can, if he can act and do that, then you just have to choose well.
True.
So I just want to add something to what you've just said. Firstly, sir, you're very kind, so thank you so much.
No, people know I'm not very kind, so don't worry, it's the truth.
And so secondly, I think what sir said is very true in the sense that with a certain age, there is a certain type of character that you're more or less cast for. Like with Taj, I think somewhere I took a little bit of a risk, not in terms of the project or this brilliant star cast, but just playing a sort of a negative character
in your first
that too not helming the narrative.
Right.
Yeah.
But as you said, it's a warm-up, Harshil.
Yeah, it's a warm-up.
Just consider it as a warm-up.
So I think if I've taken a bold choice in my first, maybe I'd like to play it a little safe in my next, and then just keep experimenting and see how it goes. But yeah, definitely, without sounding too pompous, I would love to be the leading man in whatever I do next.
You deserve to be.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was reading one of your interviews of late where you mentioned about working with senior actors. Was quite an experience, and that Rahul sir has literally held your hand everywhere.
He has.
On sets.
Did you say that?
Yeah.
I want to know from you, is there any message or anything from senior actors, and especially Rahul, that you would like to pass on?
I just want to, before I answer this question, I just want to tell you a really funny anecdote that happened on set once.
With me?
With Sir.
Busted.
And I don't think Sir would quite remember. So we're shooting the scene, and without giving too much away, for most of the show we've exchanged look like lovers, more than father and son.
Okay.
But there was this scene where I was supposed to look at Sir, and it was foreshadowing something that we were about to do next in the plot. And I was missing it. I wasn't there.
Yeah.
And Sir came up to me and he whispered in my ears. He said, "Just look at me, and just know that Daddy knows." And
Wow.
he just simplified it so much for me. And I'm like, I just need to look at Sir and shut my eyes and think, this is my father, and Daddy knows. And that's what I did. So, sorry, coming back to your question, I just had to share the story because Sir was sitting next to me, and I just needed to get it out of my system.
That's the kind of trust you have.
That's the kind
on
of trust we had on set. Whether it was Sir being kind enough to, right before our shots, sit with me and run lines together. And for me, it was very hard. The Hindi was hard to adapt to as well, because there's Urdu, there's, the fluency of the language. You need to be pretty authentic because you're doing a period show. So for me, having Sir run the lines with me, be there with me on set all the time. He was always in my ear telling me what to do, and he's a brilliant director. So having him there, because he has that ability to look at a shot not only as an actor but to also look at it from that bird's eye perspective of a director.
Yeah.
So there were moments where we decided that we would improvise, add layers to my character, and that was all happening between the both of us. As wonderful as Ron was, there were moments that I think were just created by both of us, and that's what actors do, right? That's
because
what
Ron
we do.
had so much stuff to do.
Yeah.
He had so much
Stuff to do because of this big cast or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think as actors, so that's what
It's our
we
job.
do essentially. That's our
It's
job.
our job. We should get
to create and to add a little bit more to what's already given to us on paper. So yeah.
You know, Rahul, the other day I was checking your social media and I just realized that you are not really that out and out active out there. So do you feel today that the social media play an important role in enhancing one's stardom?
No.
Okay. But since you are not...
You become a star,
Yeah.
and then people follow you on social media. Social media, anybody who follows anybody on social media because they're an influencer or whatever the hell that's called, how long will that last?
True.
A day?
I think
3
Ranbir
days.
Kapoor is the prime example of a star
Yeah.
who's not on social media and he is a
Look,
bona fide superstar.
The bottom line of my entire life has been do more than you say.
Exactly.
Always do more than you say. In whatever, you just do more than you say. So I do more than I say.
Because today actors out there take part in reels or be very active on social media and things like that. And you, for someone who has not been around at a time where social media was, taking rise, you have sustained yourself.
I don't know. I don't care.
Okay.
As long as I can do a bulbul, and people,
Eternally.
people can
Yeah.
eternally confused and eager for love. Even that, everybody keeps asking me, when are you coming back? We just fell in love with
I
your character.
loved what you did there.
Yeah, so
your
as long-
one-liners were
Yes.
so fun.
And half of them were ad-libbed. And if I can do that, then I don't care. I really don't care if people don't recognize me, they don't take my photograph. I don't care. I mean, I was at the airport yesterday and I don't know why, maybe because of Taj, some people came up to me and started asking me photographs. And I was so unhappy. I mean, I was happy to do the photographs, but I just don't, it's not my space.
Okay.
Sir, I'm a big fan. What does it mean? It means nothing. It means you're just lying to me. You're not my big fan. You've seen a face you recognize at the airport and you want to take a photograph. That's all. Say that. So we live in very, very, very transient and extremely shallow times.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's not for me. When I have something really important to say, if you look at my Instagram feed, you'll see that when I have stuff to say, I say it.
Yeah.
When I have stuff to share, I share it with great happiness. Something very good happened to me a week ago, and I shared it on Instagram. So it was I don't know. I don't have many followers, but I got some 200,000 views
Yeah.
for me, which is huge. Normally I get whatever, maybe a tenth of that. But so when I have the stuff to say, when it's substantial, when it's something I'm proud of, or when I want to comment on something, I will. Otherwise, oh God, I should get onto social media today because for the last 3 days I haven't been on it.
It's no point doing that.
I want to die, but not that fast.
Okay.
But I just feel like two things about the whole social media thing. One, the unfortunate reality now is that you need to put yourself out there to sort of get the roles and stuff. And there are people who've done it wonderfully.
At the beginning of their career, at your age,
at our age.
Yeah, of course you have to.
See, because
we
don't have like Sir has a body of work. Over so many years, and someone like me who's just starting out, I have to put myself out there because that's the only way that people will know that I'm around.
They'll notice you.
And I think to look at it as a vehicle instead of as a mode of being an actor, it's just sort of a plus to everything that you're doing anyway.
When people say you're overexposed, you know what they mean? You're talking more than you're doing. So we see actors' films not doing well. And people are saying that they're overexposed. And I'm saying it's because we are seeing too much of you everywhere. So we don't want to see your movie.
Okay.
It's just too much of you. Forget it. Conserve yourself. I'm not doing this strategically. For me, it comes naturally.
Yeah.
My greatest relief is when a party is cancelled. I'm so happy.
You have a mixed, canvas of art films, parallel cinema, and even when it came to Bollywood, you picked up very content-driven subjects. So has that been a conscious decision for you to stay away from commercial projects out and out?
No, I just do lots of drugs and I just choose a film. Obviously, it's a conscious decision.
Okay.
Everything that I do in my life is conscious. Everything that I do in my life is intent, is full of intent. Nothing happens by chance.
True.
That's my life.
And now that you have worked with so many renowned filmmakers and directors since the 90s, what do you think has changed over the years, or is there anything that you want to change?
You know what? I think that it hasn't. There's no shift for the better or for the worse. There are good films, there are bad films, there are ugly films, there are good scripts, there are bad scripts, there are good directors, there are directors who pretend to be good, there are directors who are just bad. It's still very much all of it happening, because essentially human beings don't change. And the talent and the way they use their talent, that doesn't change. What if there's any change that has happened, it's the when you talk about, in Hindi there's a word which is जब एक क्षण को आप जब थम जाता है, stillness, when you can hold a moment heavy, when you place your feet on the ground and it matters, that moment of stillness, that is something that still the best actors, even at the age of 20, 21, 22, will still become old-fashioned in this way, that I need a moment of stillness. I need to hold myself. I need you to feel my presence. And that cannot happen if you're posting, if you have a million distractions. In my time, we had 100,000 distractions, now there are a million. But what will always stay is the importance
of holding
that
oneself,
moment,
being grounded in a way.
Of that moment, condensing that moment. That will never change.
Wow, I like your approach towards things. So thank you so much for doing this with me. I had a great time chatting with you, and I'm really looking forward to see your on-screen chemistry on the sets for Taj.
Please watch Taj, and I play Rahul Shah's son. My name is Afra Siyab and this is Mirza Hakim, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
I play his ugly dad.
Hi, I'm Harshil Shah,
And I'm Rahul Bose.
and you're watching us on News 18 Shosha.